So in this video we'll look at changing guitar strings. So what I've done here is I have stripped the old strings off the guitar, just because that's the boring bit. You don't need to see that, but that's really simple. You just unwind the machine heads until the string comes loose, pull it off, and then if you've got something to cut the strings with, these are a great tool, side cutters or wire cutters. They're handy because the cutting piece is right at the end, makes it easy to get at things. So then you just cut the curly bits off the end before you pull them back through the bridge. It just saves any risk of scratching the guitar around this area. And then just make sure that you throw out all of those bits of string and make sure you have all 6 of them. And get them in the bin because they are sharp, and if you're in bare feet or if you've got kids around, you don't want them going in anybody's foot. Okay, so that's simple, so you didn't need to see me do that. One of these is a really handy tool. So this is just a string winder. If you're doing strings on an acoustic with end plugs, it's got a little tool there for pulling those out safely without wrecking them. But that just allows you to wind the machine heads faster. So you don't have to have that, but it is a handy tool. And a quick tip, when you are undoing them, just pluck each string as you start winding, just to make sure that you're winding it down and not up. Cool. So at this point, with all the strings off and I've cleaned the guitar, it's a great time to clean the guitar when the strings are off and out of the way. These are the strings I'm going to fit. These are the strings that I like to have on my electric, but strings are entirely personal preference. There's bound to be people out there who hate these strings and love strings that I hate, but that is just the way it is with this sort of thing. Yeah, each to their own. These are the ones I like. Cool, so open the packet up. Cool, and these are all going to have different gauge numbers on them. Okay, so the higher the number, the thicker the gauge. These numbers will vary if you've got heavier or lighter strings, but the smaller the number, the lighter the gauge. So that lowest number there, the 10 in this case, is going to be our high E string. So take that out. Try not to tie a knot in it. Okay, and this is a really simple bridge. Just go straight through there and pull it up. A lot of guitars you're going to come through from the back of the guitar and come right through the body to come out. What you've got at this bridge end is going to vary. If you've got what's called a Floyd Rose bridge, you'll need to watch another video specifically on how to do those properly. They're a bit more technical. So if things are looking too difficult at this end, like the string winds down, under and up and around and that sort of thing, yeah, have a look at the Floyd Rose bridge and see if that's what you've got, and watch one of the videos specifically for that bridge. Okay, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I'm sitting in the middle of my saddle in here. I'm going to come up and I'm going to go through the appropriate slot on my nut there. Okay, and I'm just going to come a little bit past the tuning peg that I want to go into. So what would that be? Maybe a couple of inches. If you're unsure, always cut too long rather than too short. You can always cut it shorter later on if you have to. And again, string end, especially those thinner ones, make sure that you know where they are and that they're going to get in the bin before they go on somebody's foot. Cool, and then I'm just going to put the end through there, and I'm just going to bend it a bit so it kind of hooks in there. Cool, so I've just got a little hook going in there, and then you can just wind that up what you want to do is just keep a bit of tension on the string as you go. Just trying to find my string winder. The other hand. Obviously having the guitar sitting down where I had it is much easier. I like to do it on a short coffee table just with a towel under the back of the guitar, but just for the purposes of showing you, I'll do it this way. So it's just trying to keep a bit of tension on that string as we wind it up. And then before I tighten it right up, I'll just make sure everything's sitting right at the other end. Cool, and I don't want to wind this up too tight yet until I know that I've got the correct tuning, because I don't want to break that string, especially being the thinnest one. It's going to be the easiest one to break. Cool, so then we're just going to repeat that across the strings. So I've just taken my next lowest number and I'll fit that one next, and we're just going to do the same process. So I'll cut some of this out of the video so that you don't have to watch everything for every string. That same thing again, I'm going to come just past the tuning peg, a couple of inches, cut that off there, and I just want to make sure that I'm going up the right side of each tuning peg as well. So in this case, where I've got the tuning pegs running down the outside, the strings going up the inside of them. Just making sure that it all lines up nicely. If you get it the wrong way round, you'll see that things are trying to sit at a funny angle. And obviously that's going to be different again when you have all of your tuning pegs on one side of the head. Different guitars are different. Cool, and all we're going to do is repeat this across the strings. Again, not going too tight. Okay, so we're up to our last string now. So you can see as we come up, we're going this peg, that peg, that peg, and then our next one's going to be that longest one, and we come back down the head to get to our last one here. So all we've done is basically repeated the same process at this stage for each of those strings. Just keep in mind, the thicker your string gets, the more space it's going to take on the tuning peg here. So you just need to take that into account as you're cutting your length. You don't want too much on there for these thicker strings, or you're going to end up with a great big bundle on the end there. But you certainly want enough on there that it's going to hold well, and of course give you space for down tuning and that sort of thing at the same time. So you can see with this one I'm sort of pulling it back back across this way. It's just to help that string bend around the tuning peg as we go. So this is really sort of the simple bit, getting the strings on there. Well, the next bit's simple too, but the next bit is what people get wrong. Okay, so you'll often hear people say that they've put new strings on, their guitar's going out of tune. So it is of course out of tune now because we haven't tuned it yet. But getting this bit right will stop that from happening. So the whole, oh, it's just new strings and they stretch. Yeah, not quite right. We've got to actually seat them in properly now, and then they won't be an issue. So I'm going to go and play this tomorrow, and it's going to stay in tune the whole time I play it. So get a tuner. Best if you can get a proper tuner. Definitely best if you can get a proper tuner. If you're really stuck, you can download an app on your phone, but they tend to be much less accurate. And doing electric like this, I always plug the tuner in as well. Pedal tuner is fine. I just use this one for doing string changes. So just finding our low E first. Because I mean the thing is you can tune by ear, but you've got to find that low E first to start with. So we're just setting fairly roughly at the moment because this is all going to change very quickly. This high E, I do like to just make sure we're not going too far with it, because sometimes the tuners find it hard to pick the high E up, and then you can end up breaking the string. So I'll probably find now, by the time I've tuned all those strings, if I go back to the top, that one's gone slightly flat already, and that's just because of the tension on the neck that the other strings have pulled it forward. So I'll just run through and just have another quick little tidy up. Okay, so now here's the thing. People say strings stretch. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know exactly. What I know that they do is where we've put them on the tuning pegs here, they're going to move a little bit because you've got all these strings sitting on top of each other. Okay, and they're going to sort of need to settle into a position where they're keeping tension. At the moment they're not fully tight in there. So what we need to do is we actually need to grab each string, and we're just going to pull it up, pull it along like that. Careful with this high one, of course, you don't want to cut your finger, it's quite sharp. And you don't want to, like really yank on it, because you could actually break that with your hand on that high one. But you can apply a decent amount of tension. You can see how far that string's pulling up. And you're just going to go through each of them like that. And I'm just moving my hand up and down the string to make sure we get an even pull right the way along. And now you'll see it's gone quite flat. So we'll bring it up to the tune again. Especially that one has moved quite a lot. And we just do the same thing again. So this is taking any opportunity for the string to stretch or for it to move on that machine head. We're getting that out of the way now before it really matters. Because once you get it settled in, your guitar should stay in tune, aside from changes in temperature where the strings will expand or contract a little bit. But generally it should stay in tune as long as you've got a decent guitar with decent machine heads on it that aren't going to come loose. So you'll need to do this a couple of times, and as you do that you'll notice it starts getting less out of tune each time. So it's basically just repeating it until it's holding its tune. So this is really the crucial step. I mean, learning to put the strings on, that's kind of easy. There's nothing too complicated about that. But like I said before, this is the step that people miss. So we're getting pretty close there now. Cool, so I've just repeated that process maybe 5 or 6 times, and it's staying fairly well in tune now. Next thing to do is to play it for a bit, get the strings moving. We want to play right up and down the neck. So as we do that, we sort of make sure we hit it as hard as we're going to hit it, you know what I mean? Like, it's no good doing this bit, hitting this hard and then go to play it at a gig, whatever, and then really hit it and have it go out of tune again. Cool, and then it's just a matter of giving it a run through again, making sure it's holding that tune. So there's some little sort of fine adjustments to make there, but that's generally pretty good. So the other thing to check now is play, especially in that first fret there, just check for buzzing. Obviously playing the note properly, you don't want it to buzz like that when you're playing the note the way you should be. And if that is happening, what you may need to do is adjust the truss rod in here. Okay, so the truss rod is basically a steel bent rod that goes through the neck of the guitar, and it's kind of bent on an angle. So if it's got like an Allen key head in here. If you turn it slightly, you're going to pull tension on the neck to pull that neck back. But generally, if you're fitting the same gauge, the same weight of strings all the time, and you've got your guitar set up properly, you're not going to need to change that on your ordinary string change. It should stay where it is. But yeah, if you're getting buzzing, and that's normally the first place you notice it, is that first fret on that low E string. Yeah, then you'll need to look at a truss rod adjustment. But otherwise, that's a string change done properly, so it's ready to go now, and it's not going to go out of tune on me.
Okay, so the only difference with doing this on the acoustic guitar is at the bridge end here. So I've loosened the strings off. I don't need to cut the ends because I'm not pulling them through a bridge, but our string ends are located under these bridge pins here. So that's where one of these tools is really handy, because it's got this little cutout in here, and these are like $5, these tools, so they're worth grabbing. So that just slots over there and pulls the pins out. Cool, and there is a slot in there that obviously goes in the direction of the string, so that the string fits into that slot. So the string just pulls out when you put the new string in. Just stick the ball end down in there, have it so that the string fits into the slot, and then just push it nice and firmly back in. So they're a tapered pin, so that's what sort of holds them, that interference fit holds them in there. Cool. So sometimes these pins will be really tight in there. Yeah, so just watch that they don't go flying. You can buy new ones if you do lose them. But yeah, because the string is pulling in that direction, it's not a huge issue if they are a little bit loose. But if they do start to get too loose, you might want to get some new ones. So yeah, everything else is really the same when you're doing acoustic.